The silver forests of Prime were quiet that morning. The trees here were not like the trees on Earth. They had metal-colored leaves that sang soft songs when the wind touched them. The sky above was pale purple, and two small suns hung low on the horizon like twin golden eyes watching over the land. Was 7 years old. He had messy black hair that never stayed flat no matter how many times his mother tried to fix it. His knees were always dirty. His pockets were always full of strange things he found during his adventures. Today, those pockets held 3 smooth stones, a dead beetle with shiny wings, and half a protein bar he had been saving for later. He was not supposed to be outside the colony walls. His mother had told him 100 times, maybe 1,000 times. The world beyond the fence was dangerous. There were creatures humans had never seen. There were plants that could make you sick. There were a million ways for a small boy to get hurt or lost or worse. But had seen a moth, not a regular moth but a moth made of light. It glowed soft blue and left tiny sparks in the air as it flew. He had never seen anything so beautiful in his whole life. He had to follow it. He had to see where it was going. The moth led him through a gap in the fence that he had discovered 3 weeks ago. It led him past the warning signs that he could not read very well yet. It led him deeper and deeper into the silver forest until the colony was just a small dot of light behind him. Then the moth disappeared. One moment it was there. The next moment it was gone, like someone had turned off a switch. Stood alone in the alien forest. The metal leaves sang their strange songs above his head. He was not scared. He was never scared. That was what his brother always said about him. Doesn't know how to be scared. Somebody forgot to teach him. That was when he smelled the smoke. It was not normal smoke. It smelled like burning metal and something sweet like flowers mixed with lightning. Followed the smell because he was curious. He was always curious. His mother said curiosity would get him in trouble one day. His brother said curiosity was the best thing about him. The crash site was in a small clearing where no silver trees grew. The ground was black and burned. Pieces of something shiny and strange were scattered everywhere like broken glass. In the middle of it all was the ship. But it was not a ship like the ones humans built. This ship looked alive. It looked like someone had grown it instead of making it with tools. The outside was covered in scales that shimmered with colors had no names for. Even broken and smoking, it was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. Then he saw her. She was lying beside the ship, half buried in the dirt and ash. She was bigger than anything he had ever seen. Bigger than the cargo transports that brought supplies to the colony. Bigger than the community hall where everyone gathered for meetings. Her body was long like a snake, covered in scales of deep purple and dark blue. 4 wings lay crumpled and broken beneath her. Silver blood leaked from wounds all over her body. Her eyes were open. They were huge and golden with small flecks of light inside them, like someone had trapped stars in amber. Those eyes were looking right at. The creature made a sound. It was not a growl and not a cry. It was something in between. A warning that said stay away and a plea that said please help all mixed together. Did not run. He did not scream. He did not go back to get the adults who would know what to do. He sat down in the burned grass, crossed his legs, and looked up at the enormous creature with calm eyes. "Does it hurt very much?" he asked. The creature stared at him. In her long life, she had met many beings from many worlds. She had seen species that were made of pure energy. She had spoken with minds that existed in the spaces between stars. She had witnessed civilizations rise and fall like waves on a cosmic shore. But she had never met anything like this small human child, who sat in front of her without any fear at all. "Yes," she said. Her mouth did not move. The word appeared directly in his mind, clear as a bell. "Yes, it hurts very much." Nodded seriously. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the half-protein bar he had been saving. "Are you hungry?" he asked. "This is all I have, but you can have it if you want." The creature that humans would have called a dragon looked at the tiny offering. It was smaller than one of her scales. It would not even begin to fill the smallest corner of her stomach. It was completely and utterly useless. It was also the kindest thing anyone had done for her in a very long time. "What is your name, small one?" she asked. The boy said, "What is yours?" The dragon told him. The sound was long and complex, full of tones and harmonics that human throats could not make. Listened carefully, he tried to repeat it. He failed badly. "Can I call you?" he asked. "It is easier for me to say." The dragon who was now called felt something strange in her chest, something warm and unexpected. "Yes," she said, "you may call me." And so a friendship began in the ashes of a crashed ship, between a dying dragon and a small boy who did not know he was supposed to be afraid. Came back the next day. He brought more food this time. 2 protein bars, an apple from the colony greenhouse, and a bottle of water he had filled from the kitchen when his mother was not looking. Was still there. She had not moved. She could not move. Her wings were too broken, her body too weak. She had spent the night looking up at strange stars and wondering if this alien sky would be the last thing she ever saw. Then the small human boy came through the silver trees, and she felt that warm thing in her chest again. "I brought breakfast," announced. He set his offerings down in front of her enormous snout. The apple looked like a tiny red dot next to her massive head. "My mother makes me eat breakfast every day. She says it is important, so you should eat breakfast too." Looked at the small pile of food. She did not need to eat the way humans did. Her kind drew energy from starlight and cosmic radiation, but the boy was looking at her with such hope in his eyes that she could not say no. She opened her mouth carefully and let him place the apple on her tongue. It was sweet and crisp and tasted like nothing she had ever experienced before. It tasted like kindness. "Thank you," she said in his mind. The boy smiled. It was a smile that could light up dark rooms and warm, cold hearts. Then his smile faded as he looked at her broken wings. "Do they hurt?" he asked. "Your wings?" "Yes," admitted. "They hurt very much." "Can you fix them? Can you make them better?" Was quiet for a long moment. How could she explain to this child? How could she make him understand? Her kind had technology that humans could not even imagine. They had been traveling between stars when humans were still living in caves. They had knowledge gathered over millions of years. And none of it could help her now. "No," she said finally, "I cannot fix them. The bones are broken in too many places, 17 places. The skin between the bones is torn too badly. My body cannot heal this much damage." Frowned. It was a serious frown, the kind that looked strange on such a young face. "What happens if you cannot fly?" he asked. "I die," said simply. There was no point in lying to him. Children always knew when adults were lying. "My kind must fly. It is not just how we move, it is how we live. Without flight, my body will slowly stop working. It will take time, weeks maybe, but it will happen." She expected the boy to cry. She expected him to be sad or scared or to run away and never come back. She had seen many species react to death in many ways. Grief was universal. Fear was universal. But did not cry. He did not run. Instead, he got that serious look on his face again. The look that said he was thinking very hard about something. "You cannot fix your wings," he said slowly, "but can someone else fix them?" "No one can fix them," said gently. "My kind has the most advanced healing technology in this part of the galaxy. If we cannot repair this damage, no one can. I am sorry, small one. I know this is hard to understand." "What about humans?" asked. "Can humans fix them?" Would have laughed if she could, but she did not want to hurt the boy's feelings. "Little one," she said carefully, "your species is very young. You have only been traveling among the stars for 200 of your years. My people were building ships when your ancestors still lived in trees. What could humans possibly do that we cannot? My brother could fix them, said. He said it the same way he might say that water was wet or that the sky was purple, like it was just a fact, like there was no room for argument. Looked at him, really looked at him. She saw a small boy with dirty knees and messy hair and absolutely unshakable faith in his eyes. Your brother, she asked. Said, nodding. He is an engineer, he fixes things, he fixes everything. Does he fix alien technology? Asked. Does he fix living wings made of crystalline bone and gravitational membranes? Does he know how to repair damage that the greatest healers in the galaxy say cannot be repaired? I do not know what those words mean, admitted. But I know my brother. He fixed my mother's heart when the doctors said she would die. He fixed the water machine when all the other engineers gave up. He fixed my toy spaceship when I crashed it 18 times. 18 times? I am not very good at flying toy spaceships, said, but that is okay, always fixes them for me. Felt something wet in her eyes. Her kind could cry, though they rarely did. They saw tears as a weakness, but right now she could not help it. Little one, she said, her mental voice shaking, you are very kind, but some things cannot be fixed. Some things are simply too broken. I have accepted this. You should accept it too. Reached up with his small hand. He placed it on her snout, right between her nostrils. His palm was barely bigger than a single scale, but somehow that tiny touch felt like the most solid thing in the universe. Do not cry, said the small human boy. My elder brother can fix it. And despite everything she knew about the universe and its limits, despite centuries of accumulated wisdom telling her this was foolish and impossible, felt something spark inside her chest. She felt hope. I will bring him tomorrow, promised. You will see, can fix anything. Then he picked up his empty water bottle and walked back toward the colony, leaving the dragon alone with her broken wings and a strange new feeling she had almost forgotten existed. Maybe the small human was wrong. Probably he was wrong. Almost certainly he was wrong. But maybe, just maybe, he was right. Was covered in engine grease when found him. This was normal, was always covered in engine grease. He spent his days in the colony's repair bay fixing machines that other people said could not be fixed. He had grease under his fingernails, grease in his hair, and probably grease in places grease should not be. He was 23 years old. He had the same messy black hair as his little brother, though his was longer and usually tied back. His hands were rough from years of work. His eyes were tired but kind. Said, tugging at his brother's sleeve, I need to show you something. I am busy, did not look up from the broken water pump he was studying. Can it wait until dinner? No, it is important. More important than clean water for the colony. Yes. Something in his voice made stop. He put down his tools and really looked at his little brother, was serious, more serious than had ever seen him. What is it? Asked. There is a dragon in the forest, said. Her name is, her wings are broken. She is going to die if you do not help her. Stared at his brother for a long moment. Then he rubbed his eyes with the back of his hand, leaving a new streak of grease across his forehead. A dragon, he said flatly. Yes. In the forest. In the silver forest, past the fence, where I am not supposed to go. You went past the fence. Mother is going to kill you. I know, but needed help. She crashed her ship. She is hurt very badly. Please, you have to come see her. Shook his head slowly. There are no dragons. Dragons do not exist. They are stories made up, not real. She is real, insisted. She talks in my head. She has 4 wings and golden eyes, and she is very beautiful even though she is hurt. Please, I promised her you would come. I promised her you could fix her wings. You promised her I could fix dragon wings. Yes. Dragon wings that I have never seen before. Yes. On a dragon that does not exist. She does exist, his voice cracked. His eyes were starting to fill with tears. She is real and she is my friend and she is going to die and you are the only one who can help her. Please, please. Looked at his little brother. This impossible child who believed in impossible things. This small boy who had never stopped believing that his elder brother could do anything. It was a belief had never felt he deserved. He was just an engineer, just a man who was good at understanding how machines worked and how to make broken things work again. He was not a miracle worker. He was not special. He was just stubborn enough to keep trying when other people gave up. But had never seen it that way. Tu was a hero. Tu, there was nothing in the universe that could not fix. How could he say no to that? Sighed, he wiped his hands on his work pants, which just moved the grease around without actually removing it. Show me, he said. His face lit up like someone had turned on a light inside him. He grabbed his brother's hand and pulled him toward the door. She is going to like you, said as they walked. She is very nice, a little sad but nice, and she likes apples. I gave her one yesterday and she said it was delicious. Dragons eat apples. She said it tasted like kindness. I do not know what kindness tastes like, but I think she meant it was good. They walked through the colony, past the living quarters and the community hall and the small park where children played. They reached the fence and led his brother to the gap he had found weeks ago. They squeezed through and entered the silver forest. The metal leaves sang their strange songs overhead. The twin suns filtered through the branches, casting everything in soft gold and purple light. Had never been this far outside the colony before. It was beautiful and strange and a little frightening. Then they reached the clearing and stopped breathing. She was real. A dragon was really lying there in the burned grass, covered in purple and blue scales, with 4 broken wings spread out around her like crumpled paper. She was bigger than anything had ever seen, bigger than the cargo ships, bigger than buildings. Her golden eyes turned toward him, and he felt her gaze like a physical weight. You are the brother, her voice said in his mind. It was deep and ancient and beautiful, the one who fixes things. Could not speak. His mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. I told you, said happily. I told you she was real. Forced himself to breathe. He forced his engineer's brain to start working again. He looked at the wings, really looked at them. He saw the breaks in what looked like crystal bones. He saw the tears in the membrane that stretched between them. He saw the silver blood that had dried around the wounds. I fix machines, he said finally. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. Engines, pumps, simple things. My wings are not simple, said. They are organic crystalline structures that channel gravitational fields. They are broken beyond my body's ability to repair. Your brother promised me you could help. Looked at, his little brother stared back with absolute confidence. The same confidence he had always had. The confidence that said there was nothing in the universe his could not do. I do not even know where to start, said. Then learn, replied. I will teach you how my wings work. You will find a way to fix them. Your brother believes you can. Is his faith misplaced? Was quiet for a long moment. He looked at the impossible creature in front of him. He looked at the impossible task she was asking him to do. He looked at his little brother, who had never stopped believing in him. No, said quietly, his faith is never misplaced. He rolled up his sleeves and walked closer to the broken wings. Show me everything, he said. I am going to need to understand exactly how these work. And so the impossible task began. 17 days, that was how long it took. 17 days of almost no sleep. 17 days of stealing equipment from the colony's medical bay when no one was looking. 17 days of building things that should not exist and breaking things that should have worked and starting over from nothing again and again. His mother knew something was happening. She did not know what, but she saw her elder son disappearing for hours at a time. She saw him coming home exhausted with strange burns on his hands. She saw him studying diagrams that made no sense, muttering words that sounded like nonsense. But she did not ask questions. She had learned long ago that her sons were special, different. They did things that other people could not understand. She just made sure there was food waiting when they came home and clean clothes ready in the morning. On the first day, just listened, explained how her wings worked. She told him about crystalline bones that grew in special patterns. She told him about membranes that could bend gravity itself. She told him about energy that flowed through channels too small to see. "This is impossible," said when she finished. "Everything you just told me breaks the laws of physics." "Your physics," corrected, "not ours. We have been studying the universe for millions of years. You have been studying it for a few hundred. Perhaps your laws are simply incomplete." Could not argue with that. On the fourth day, he built his first prototype. It was ugly. It was crude. It was made from metal scraps and medical equipment and things that were definitely not supposed to go together. He attached it to a small piece of broken wing membrane that let him take. It did nothing. The membrane stayed dead and dark. "I told you," said gently. "This damage cannot be repaired, not by your technology, not by anyone." "I am not done yet," replied. On the seventh day, got sick. Just a small cold, but made him stay home in bed. He cried and begged to go see, but his mother was firm. "You can visit your friend when you are better," she said. She still did not know what friend was talking about. She assumed it was another child from the colony. When alone that day, he sat beside in the clearing and worked on his designs. The silence felt strange without constant chatter. "He talks about you all the time," said suddenly. Even when he was a baby, his first word was brother, not mother, not father, brother. "He loves you very much," observed. "Too much." His hands paused over his work. "He thinks I can do anything. He has always thought that, even when I fail, even when I make mistakes, he never stops believing." That is a heavy burden to carry. "It is," looked up at the dragon with tired eyes. "But it is also the best thing in my life. His faith makes me try harder, do more, be better. Without him believing in me, I would just be an ordinary engineer. With him, I am something more." "You are remarkable," said, "both of you." On the 10th day, had a breakthrough. He realized he had been thinking about the problem wrong. He had been trying to repair wings using her technology, but that was impossible. He did not have her tools, her materials, her millions of years of knowledge. So instead, he would build something new, something that was half human and half, something that had never existed before. He worked through the night. He worked through the next day, came back, healthy again, and brought food and water that forgot to eat. The small boy sat beside the dragon and told her stories about his life, while his brother built and rebuilt and built again. "What is school like?" asked one day. She had never experienced childhood the way humans did. "Boring," said honestly, "but also nice. I have friends there. We play games at lunch. My teacher says I ask too many questions, but I think questions are important." "Questions are very important," agreed. "They are how we learn." Says the same thing. He says the only stupid question is the one you do not ask. On the 14th day, showed what he had made. It was a strange thing. Part metal, part crystal, woven together in patterns that seemed to flow like water. It looked like nothing any had ever seen. It looked like nothing any human had ever built. "What is it?" asked. "I do not know what to call it," admitted. "It is a hybrid, part of your technology and part of mine. In theory, it should be able to connect to your broken wings and replace the parts that cannot heal." "In theory." "I have no idea if it will actually work." "You are honest," observed. "I appreciate that." On the 17th day, everything was ready. Had built 4 complete wing attachments. They were beautiful in a strange way. Metal and crystal merged together, glowing faintly with inner light. The attachment process was going to hurt, had warned about this. The devices needed to connect directly to her nervous system. There was no way to do it painlessly. "I am ready," said. "Are you sure? Once I start, I cannot stop. If something goes wrong, then I die a little sooner than I would have died anyway." The dragon's golden eyes were calm. "Your brother promised me you could fix my wings. I choose to believe him. Whatever happens next, I am grateful for these 17 days. They have been unexpectedly wonderful." Nodded. His hands were shaking slightly as he positioned the first device. He said, "Hold her hand, I think she will need it." Walked up to the dragon without any fear. He took one of her massive claws in both of his small hands. He looked up at her with those confident eyes. "It will be okay," he said. "Never fails." Pressed the first device into place. Screamed. The sound was not a sound at all. It was a wave of pain that washed through everyone's mind. Gritted his teeth and kept working. One attachment, then two, then three, then four. When he finished, he stepped back. His hands were covered in silver blood. His whole body was shaking with exhaustion. The wings lay still. The devices were attached, but they were dark. No light, no energy, nothing. "Did it work?" whispered. "I do not know," admitted. "I do not know." They waited. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, nothing happened. The wings stayed dark and broken and dead. Felt his heart sink. He had failed. After everything, he had failed. His brother's faith had been misplaced after all. Then let go of his claw. He walked up to her massive head and placed his small hand on her snout, the same spot he had touched that very first day. "You can do it," he whispered. "I believe in you too." Something sparked. A small light appeared in one of the devices, then another, then another. The light spread through the crystalline structures like fire spreading through dry grass. The wings began to glow, purple and silver and deep midnight blue, brighter and brighter until had to shield his eyes. Gasped. The wings moved. Not just moved. They spread wide, catching the light of the twin suns, burning with colors that had no names in any human language. They were not just repaired. They were transformed, made new, made better. Impossible breathed. "This is impossible." But it was not impossible. It was real. It was happening. The dragon, who was supposed to die, spread her new wings and began to cry. But this time, the tears were not from sadness. The people of Prime Colony would remember that night for the rest of their lives. They were eating dinner. They were putting children to bed. They were doing the normal, quiet things that people do at the end of a normal, quiet day. Then the sky exploded with color. Purple and silver light painted the stars. Trails of impossible fire arced across the heavens. A sound rolled over the colony like thunder, but it was not thunder. It was something else, something ancient and joyful and free. Everyone ran outside to look. They stood in the streets with their heads tilted back, watching the light show above them. They did not understand what they were seeing. They did not know that they were watching a miracle. Up above flew. She had not flown in 17 days. She had thought she would never fly again. She had accepted death as her future. But now she was rising higher and higher, her new wings burning with light, her whole body singing with energy she had never felt before. The wings had built were not just repaired versions of her old ones. They were something new, something better. They channeled gravitational fields more efficiently than anything her people had ever created. They were stronger, faster, more powerful. A young human with no formal training. A species that had only been traveling the stars for 2 centuries. They had done what millions of years of knowledge could not. Roared. It was a roar of pure joy. It echoed across the mountains and valleys of Prime. It reached the colony below, where confused humans were still staring at the sky. It reached a small boy and his brother who stood at the edge of the silver forest, watching their friend reclaim her freedom. Was jumping up and down. He was laughing and crying at the same time. Tears streamed down his face, but his smile was the biggest smile had ever seen. "She is flying," shouted. "She is flying, you did it, you fixed her." Could not speak. He was too tired, too overwhelmed, too amazed at what he had somehow accomplished. He just stood there with grease still on his hands and silver blood drying on his clothes and watched the dragon dance among the stars. After what felt like hours came back down. She landed in the clearing where they had first met, her new wings folding gracefully against her body. They still glowed faintly, pulsing with soft light like a heartbeat. She looked at the two brothers who had saved her life. "I have lived for 300 years," she said. "I have met beings from 100 different worlds. I have seen technologies that would make your species weep with wonder. None of them could have done what you did." "I just got lucky," said. His voice was hoarse. "The design could have failed, it almost did fail. But it did not fail, because you refused to let it fail, because your brother believed in you, because humans do not know how to accept the impossible." Lowered her massive head until she was eye level with. The small boy reached up and touched her snout one more time, his favorite spot. "Thank you, little one," she said. "You saved my life, not just because you found me, not just because you brought your brother, but because you gave me hope when I had none. You believed when belief was foolish. That is a rare and precious gift." "You are my friend," said simply. "Friends help friends, that is what friends do." "Yes," agreed, "that is what friends do." She turned to, "My people must know of this, of you, of what humans are capable of. We have watched your species from afar for a long time. We thought you were young and primitive and unimportant. We were wrong." "We are not special," said. "We are just stubborn." Stubbornness is special. The refusal to accept impossibility is special. The audacity to try when all logic says you should not try is special. Spread her wings. They caught the starlight and turned it into rainbows. "I will tell my people about the humans who refused to let a dragon die. I will tell them about the brother who fixed what could not be fixed and the boy who believed when belief was absurd. I will tell them that this young species is worth watching." "What will happen then?" asked. "I do not know. My people do not often interact with younger species, but perhaps that will change. Perhaps because of you, everything will change." She looked at both of them one more time. Her golden eyes were warm with affection. "Before I go," she said, "I want to give you something, little one. Would you like to fly with me?" His eyes went wide. He looked at. His expression was half desperate hope and half asking for permission. Hesitated. It was dangerous. It was crazy. It was absolutely something he should say no to. But then he looked at his little brother, at the boy who had found a dying dragon and refused to let her cry, at the child who had never stopped believing in miracles because he had never learned that miracles were supposed to be impossible. "Go," said, "but be careful and hold on tight." Scrambled onto his back. He was so small compared to her. His tiny hands gripped her scales. His face was shining with excitement. "Ready?" asked. "Ready," shouted. She leaped into the sky. Below, watched his little brother disappear among the stars. He watched the light trails paint the heavens. He listened to the distant sound of laughter echoing across the night. He was just an engineer, just a man who was good at fixing things. But tonight he had done something more than fix a machine. He had fixed a friendship. He had fixed hope. He had fixed the impossible. All because a small boy had made a promise, and his elder brother had refused to break it. 3 years later, they made official contact with humanity. They came to Prime first. They asked for by name. They had a ship that needed fixing, they said. Their own engineers had given up. Looked at his little brother, now 10 years old and still absolutely certain that there was nothing his could not do. "Show me the damage," said. And humanity's place among the stars began in earnest, not as conquerors, not as diplomats, but as the species that looked at the broken and saw only something waiting to be fixed. All because a small boy did not let his dragon friend cry.